cannot believe it's going to be Labor Day weekend in 2 days. Where did the summer go? It went by so fast. I'm not ready for summer to be over, but I have some pots that are ready for summer to be over. How many of you guys have pots out there that are looking a little worn, a little tired, they need a little love? Maybe you're just ready for a change, or maybe they just need a little refresh. I have pots in all of those conditions, and today, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Welcome to Gardening TLC. I am Michelle. I live in Northern Illinois, Zone 5, and we are gonna tackle our pots, get them looking better, and maybe pushing them a little bit more into that fall look, because it is coming, whether we want it to or not. So I went around and I foraged some Annabelle hydrangeas, and when you're doing this, one of the things that you wanna do is you do wanna pull the leaves off and just have it down to the dried down flower. Now I'm gonna make little bundles with these, and I'm gonna use these in some of my pots. I do want them to have a little bit of a longer stem, but one of the things that you'll find is the stems can be brittle, and when you're trying to push the stems into the dirt, they snap. So what I like to use is a dowel rod. So it's got a pointy end, can you see? It's got a pointy end here and a rounded end here. I'm just going to attach it to the 3 stems because I kind of want to make a bigger bundle like this. Now you might have a hydrangea that's this big. These are Annabelles where the flowers don't get as big, and so I have to take 3 of them and put them together to kind of get a nice one. Then I'm taking some waterproof floral tape, which you could get at any like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or someplace like that, and I'm just wrapping it around the stems to hold them all together. And then I will trim the stems a little bit right here, and then I will use this pokey dowel rod to push into the soil so that these don't fly away or blow away. They'll be nice and anchored in my pot. So I'm gonna make up a bunch of these, and then I'm gonna use these in my pots. The first pot that we're gonna refresh is right here at the entrance to my porch. I love the way this pot looked all year, except for the centerpiece that I picked. I ended up picking a helichrysum icicle, and I didn't like it as a centerpiece at all. It never really got any height. I didn't like the color that it was. It just wasn't my favorite. What I did like in the pot, I loved the combination of these 3 Proven Winner annuals. So I used the Supertunia Mini Vista Star. I really liked this one. I loved this Blew My Mind Evolias. I will plant that one again next year. And I liked it with the Supervina. I chose the, which one is it? Violet Ice. So I loved all 3 of those together. They're all still looking pretty good. Now the underside of my verbena is looking a little rough, so I am gonna give it a little haircut. I'm going to pull out the helichrysum and do a different centerpiece. And I'm gonna leave the ivy because I did like that. I almost wish I would have had more ivy in the pot. All right, let's refresh the pot and bring it a little bit more fall. For my centerpiece, I'm gonna use a millet. Now this one is the Purple Baron. It has large flower spikes that are like a dark purple. It doesn't have any on it yet, but it will. It's gonna have nice height. It's gonna have the purple hues in it. So I think it's gonna go with the colors that we're gonna leave in the pot. Then we are also going to be putting in some kale. I'm gonna do a bunch of these little ones right here. Now kale for me always does better than mums, just because they go further into the season. Eventually we'll get a frost and I'll have to pull some things out of the pot, and then I'll probably just add more cabbage and kale. But for now, this color scheme will go with what's already in the pot. Now this is the Peacock Red Flowering Kale. Has a little bit of a purple hue to it. The colder it gets outside, the better these guys look. Now the one thing that I will have to pay attention to is little caterpillars on here trying to eat my kale, so I will probably have to spray them once a week with BT just to be a preventative. BT targets only caterpillars, and that's what likes to eat the kale and the cabbage, and it's still warm enough that that could happen. All right, let's refresh this pot. This is one of my favorite tools to use when I'm digging things out of a pot because it's got a serrated edge. So it is a trowel. It's got a really deep nose on there, so it gets down in there, and then I can cut the roots out, so it makes it easier to get things out of the pot without damaging the roots of the other products around it. This tool. That made quick work of it. All right, now I'm going to just trim up my verbena, and then I'll start planting everything. So if I lift this up, see the underside? It's not looking as healthy underneath here, so I am gonna clean this all up. Whoa. Whoa. Did my pot just break? Oh. Oh my gosh, my pot just broke. That's a bummer. All right, well, let's see what we can do to create a bottom. We're gonna finish potting it up and then I'm gonna figure out how to stabilize the base. There's no way this thing is standing up without a base because it needs the base to be stable. It wobbles really super easy. You just kind of touch it and it falls over. So we're going to use this Sedona bowl, which I brought over here earlier. It has a hairline crack in it, so I couldn't sell it, and I was storing like one of those shrinky hoses in it. Well, now it's going to be the base for this pot, so let's do this. Like everything about these pots, this actually turned out pretty good, putting the little bowl underneath. It doesn't 100% match on the color, but it's close enough, and filling it up really takes your attention away from it. So I'm pretty happy with the millet that we put in here and the kale. I like the contrast of those frilly leaves against the leaves that are in here. I did take the English ivy and I kind of moved it around and wove it through the different flowers that are in here. And these flowers are still doing well. I like the blue and the purple. And you know what? We just picked blue and purple pansies to put in there with it to kind of tie all the colors in together. I did end up pulling the petunia mini star off of the other side. It was really looking pretty bad when I really got in there, so I pulled it out. I do like the cattails in there. I'll have to pay attention to them though to make sure that they don't like open up and go all over the place. But I walk by this every day, so I'll see it. So I like this one. This one kind of is a match to that one in that I used a little cabbage in here instead of the peacock kale. So I did that all the way around. Again, we put the millet in here and we added the cattails. This one has the same verbena in it and the saffron finch, which I thought both of them still looked pretty good. So I left them in there, and I think that the two of these together right here look pretty good. Starting to move into fall. Maybe you have a pot that looks just like this one. This is a monster potato vine. This is the Medusa. I've already cut it back once. It just is happy in this pot. Now I did end up pulling the calibrachoas that were in this pot. They just croaked, didn't do well. I put a coleus in here, but the coleus just never had a chance against this potato vine, which was pretty aggressive. It already filled back in even though I cut it back. So what I'm going to do is cut it back severely so that I've got room to put more things in the pot. I want to add some pretty pansies in here, and I want to add this pretty peacock kale in here. I also have already put in a cabbage that kind of already got gobbled up from the potato vine, so I need to do a harder prune on it. I did put a purple fountain grass in here already, and we're going to leave that in there. Now that's one of the things that if you're not sure what to do with a pot, because you've got a potato vine that's just turned into a monster, don't be afraid to cut it back. Or you know what, you can pull it out. Now I'm gonna really severely prune this back. Wait till you see how small it is when I'm done. And then I'm gonna put everything in it. Then I'll decide if I wanna add any of the dried products that I foraged. All right, let's get at it. I think this thing turned out really good. So we really cut back a lot of the potato vine. I did end up pulling 2 of the wire vines out, and I potted them up, and I'm going to use them someplace else. I love this little Delta Mix pansy that we put in here. I like the purple peacock kale that we put in here. It's a nice contrast up against the potato vine. And then that purple fountain grass worked in really great. And then these seed pods here came off my Baptisia. I just thought that they were different. They looked good. I liked them. And then I like that cabbage right in the middle as my centerpiece. And now you can actually see the wire vine that's in there. This one to me looks very fall. So I really like the way this one turned out. Okay, I decided I didn't like the cattails in here. I thought they were misproportioned to the pot. So I did end up putting some of the seed pods in here that I picked off of my Siberian iris. I think they're a lot more fitting to the size of the pot. And I think they add just a little bit of something without like being crazy big. Those cattails were just way too fat. I do like them in the other one. I just didn't like them in this one. I have 2 more pots that I want to refresh, make them look a little more fall. Now I did pull the petunias out and the scaevola. So the petunias I pulled out because the rabbits ate all the flowers and all that was left was some scraggly foliage. And then the scaevolas weren't looking that great either. The potato vines actually also got eaten down by the rabbits, but I fertilized them and they reflushed back. So that's about a month's worth of growth after the rabbits ate them. The Dracaena spike is doing awesome. Now I want these to look a little more fall, so I am going to be adding another kale. This one is called Nagoya Red. Right now it looks purple, but as it gets colder outside, the center of this will get more red as it gets more cold. This will take me all the way into winter if I want it to. These are awesome. Now, I'm also going to add pansies because pansies can take a little bit more cold. I'm going to do just a combination of different colors just to brighten it out. Let's just get these potted up and just make them look better. I am liking these. I love the refresh on this. I do like the hydrangeas in there. I didn't know if I would or not. I do like them though. I like that brown color. I love the cabbage on this side. And I love the potato vine with the Dracaena spike. I think they both look really good. So they flank the entrance going out to the garden. So you see them when I'm sitting on the porch. But then if you're coming up the pathway, you see the hydrangea and then just the pretty pansies on the other side. Oh, I love the way these turned out. I think they're great. I do like the brown in there. I didn't know if I was going to like it, but I do. All right, 2 more pots to go, and then we're done. I'm sure some of you have pots that are just plain worn out, and I have 2 right here. I have moved them a couple times. I cut them back. I fertilized them, refreshed them. They are just worn out, tired, and they don't look good anymore. These pots have been hanging on for a long time. I did them way back in the middle of April, I think. Or maybe the beginning of May. It was really early. They were the first 2 pots that I put together, but now it's time to change them out. They've lived a good life, and now it's time to put them to bed and put something else in the pot. But on the flip side, check out the pots that we did at the end of July. Those are the 9 barks that we put in there with the bubblegum super tunia. Oh my goodness, I cut those super tunias back to like this big. Look how awesome they look. This pot has been fabulous. But now let's change this one out. I brought a bunch of stuff with me. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use. Let me show you what I brought. We'll see how it comes together. And if I like everything, I might use it all. I might not. I brought a few things out because I wasn't sure what I wanted to use for my centerpiece. One of the items I brought out is a perennial. This is Amsonia. This one is the halfway to Arkansas. But look at this beautiful yellow-green foliage on it. This is the color that it is in the fall. Now, typically this is green, and in the spring, it gets really pretty blue flowers. This is something that I want to add to my landscape. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I use it as my fall centerpiece, and then when I'm done, I can put it in the ground. So I might use this. This grows in zone 3 through 9. In the ground, they get 3 feet high and about 2 feet wide. They'll grow in sun or part sun. When they bloom in May. but I'm really liking this, and I brought 2 of them up to kind of bulk up the center if I decide this is what I want to use. I also brought a grass. Okay, so this is a penstemon. This is the fireworks. Here it's considered a tender perennial, which means that it won't come back. It's only going to be in the pot, and then I'm going to have to throw it away at the end of the season. But this will grow in zone 9 and 10. They get 24 to 30 inches high, 30 to 36 inches wide in the ground if you planted them in the spring. This might put on a little bit more growth if I fertilize it as we go through the rest of the season. It'll probably take me all the way to Halloween. It does have a nice fall color. I just don't know if this is the one that I want to use, or if I want to use the Amsonia, or maybe I want to try to stuff all 3 of them in there. We'll see. I also brought over a Rebecca because these are so gorgeous. Now, this is an annual Rebecca. This one is the Toto Rustic. They don't get much bigger than this. They will still push some flowers out if you deadhead them as the season progresses along, but they're definitely not going to come back next year. Now, this is not going to take me through the whole fall. I mean, it's just coming up on the beginning of September, so this might last a month, and then I'm probably going to have to trade it out for something else down the road. I'm okay with that. This is pretty gorgeous now, though. We'll see if it fits with everything else that I'm putting in the pot. I did bring out another flowering kale. This one is the Nagoya Rose, though. So instead of getting red as it gets colder like the other one does, this one gets a deeper, darker pink. These are really super nice. The biggest thing is I just have to watch the cabbage worms on there. Spray with BT once a week so they don't eat all of this up. And again, the colder it gets, the better they look. I like cabbage. So I brought 2 of them for each pot. We'll see if I need more or less, or I'm not sure. We'll see how it looks when I put it in there. I could not help myself. I had to bring one mum home. These are so gorgeous. This one is called Summer Sunset. Isn't this great? It's got the bicolor of the pink and the yellow. I love this. Now, this is an early blooming mum, so it'll be done by the end of September, and that's okay. By the time I hit the end of September, I'm really going to be wanting more of that fall color, and what I'll do is I'll just pull this one out and put another one in. They really don't have time to root, so I don't worry about that. Now, the one thing with mums here, when I sell mums, grow mums, put them in my pots, they're all annuals for me. We don't have enough time for them to really get rooted in the ground, and you can flip a coin as to whether or not they'll come back the next year. If you want to grow mums here where I live in Northern Illinois Zone 5, your best bet is to really put them in the ground in the spring, because then they've got time to really get their roots established before we go into winter. Now, you can try to put these in the ground and overwinter them, but if you do, make sure you push some mulch up around the base. Also, make sure that you don't cut them back. Leave the plant in place. That way it kind of protects that crown a little bit, and you have a better shot of them coming back. And I don't know, I treat it as an annual, and when they're done, I just toss them in the compost pile. The last plant that I brought over to put in the pots are pansies. Pansies can handle cold better. We are cooling down. I think we're through the heat. We might get some more heat, but I think these will be okay as long as I keep them hydrated. I like this one because it's the berry tart mixture, and it's got a nice mixture of that mauve-y, kind of pink, red. There's a blue in here. There's a dark purple. The yellow eye goes with some of the other things in the pot. I don't know. I just like pansies in the spring and in the fall. Now let's empty the pot. We'll see if we have to add more potting soil. We'll kind of set it up, put some things in there, see if we like what it looks like. And then if we do, we'll plant it. There are a lot of bugs in this soil. That might be why the pot is not doing well. We are going to totally dump the soil out and start fresh. I do like the way this turned out. I know pink isn't exactly fall, but that looks so good next to that 9 bark. I don't have the heart to pull it out, and it just is so healthy looking. I do really like that Amsonia up against the 9 bark. That is such a great fall color. I like the way this pot turned out. I like the Rebecca in here. I do like the kale and the pansies. We tied in some of the pink colors with the mums. The mum was way too big for the pot. I couldn't get it in there, so I just decided, you know what, to drop it into a little pot cover and leave it. This is a nice little trio. I pushed them closer together, and the one on the other end looks just as good. And here are the other ones. I just think that they are so sweet looking. Well, the mosquitoes are coming out. It's time for me to go inside. I love how all of my pots turned out, and I hope that this gave you some ideas to refresh some of your pots moving into fall. Just think, this is the approach to the new garden next year. If you guys would stop doing such cool things when I go on garden tours, I could actually make up my mind on what I want to do out there. But this winter, I will plan. See you in the next video. Bye, everybody.